There's no doubt that sleep plays a really important role in our mental health. But the relationship between sleep and mental health is quite complex. You see, it's a two-way street where our quality of sleep affects our mental health, but at the same time, our mental health impacts our sleep. It's a bit like the chicken and egg type of scenario. It's difficult to determine which comes first, good mental health or good quality sleep. Unfortunately, this sets the scene for a potential vicious cycle where we get stuck not sleeping well and not feeling well mentally. And this vicious cycle can be really difficult to break out of again. So in today's video, we're going to look at 3 important terms when it comes to understanding the psychology of sleep: insomnia, sleep anxiety, and somniphobia. Each of these represent a type of sleep-related challenge, and understanding them can be the first step to breaking the vicious cycle. Let's start out by having a look at insomnia. Insomnia is a disorder that affects between 6 and 10% of all adults. It's defined as the inability to fall asleep or stay asleep. Insomnia can affect all aspects of a person's life and can lead to sleep deprivation, decreased productivity at work, emotional disturbances, and cognitive deficits. Many adults experience short-term or acute insomnia at some point in their life. This typically lasts for days or weeks at a time, and it's usually a result of either stress or a traumatic event that we've gone through. But there are also people who struggle with long-term or chronic insomnia, which means that it's gone on for much longer. In order to be diagnosed with chronic insomnia, there are some things that need to be in place. These include that you must experience symptoms of sleep deprivation that make it difficult to function in normal life, that the difficulty sleeping have occurred for at least 3 nights every week for at least 3 months, and finally that the sleep difficulties can be explained by any other sleep disorder or any medical or mental health conditions. Now, looking at the symptoms of insomnia, they tend to be the same across both short-term and long-term insomnia. The main difference there is the duration of how long you're experiencing the symptoms. So the symptoms of insomnia include experiencing difficulties falling asleep on a night, waking up during the night, waking up too early in the morning, not feeling well rested after a night's sleep, experiencing feeling tired or sleepy during the day, feeling more irritable or experiencing symptoms of anxiety or depression, experiencing difficulties paying attention, focusing on tasks, or remembering. Now, these are all examples of what we refer to as a decrease of cognitive ability. It's really common to see that if we feel stressed, anxious, depressed, or sleep deprived, that we'll see a decrease in our cognitive abilities across time. This can have a really big impact on how we're able to manage our daily lives, and we'll often see a decrease in productivity. It also leads us straight into the next symptom that we often see of insomnia, which is an increase of errors or accidents. When we don't feel well rested and we see this decrease in cognitive ability, we're also much more likely to see that we make more mistakes. Now, in some jobs and tasks, this reduction in cognitive ability will just make us less productive, but in others it can lead to really dangerous situations. And the final symptom of insomnia that I've decided to include here is an ongoing worry about sleep. Now, next up, we're going to look at sleep anxiety. But before we do, I've got a quick favor to ask of you. If you've taken any value from this video, I'd really appreciate it if you could give it a like for me. This will help the video reach more people who might benefit from learning about the psychology of sleep. Thank you, and now let's get on to sleep anxiety. Sleep anxiety involves fears or worries about not being able to fall asleep or stay asleep. See, insomnia that we just covered and sleep anxiety are not the same thing, but we do see a strong link between the two. Research suggests that out of the people who suffer from insomnia, 24 to 36% also have some type of anxiety disorder. So not everyone with insomnia have sleep anxiety, but every single person who has sleep anxiety do display some form of insomnia. We know that sleep anxiety leads to difficulty sleeping and therefore cause some degree of insomnia. We also see that sleep deprivation caused by insomnia can lead to a greater risk of developing an anxiety disorder or can worsen the symptoms of anxiety. So let's look at the symptoms that you may experience if you suffer from sleep anxiety. You may experience worrying about tasks that need to be completed the next day, worrying about things that you didn't get done in the day that you've just lived, stressing about whether you'll be able to fall asleep, repeatedly checking the time and feeling stressed by how long it's taken to fall asleep, ruminating about why you're not able to sleep, and finally feeling fearful or dreading going to bed and not being able to go to sleep. You see, the main problem with sleep anxiety is it can actually make it even harder for us to fall asleep or to stay asleep. This means that it can hold us in a vicious cycle where the more we struggle to fall asleep and the less sleep we get, the more anxious we'll feel about the next time we need to go to sleep, and the more difficult it will be for us to fall asleep. Being aware of the importance of sleep and being conscious of the fact that we're maybe not getting enough sleep can really put a lot of pressure on going to sleep fueling the anxiety and making it even more difficult. In this way, we can see sleep anxiety as a type of performance anxiety. That means that we're anxious about our own ability to perform a task, in this case, going to sleep. So sleep and anxiety have a bidirectional relationship. Anxiety can make it difficult to sleep, but a lack of sleep can also lead to an increased feeling of anxiety. But just to complicate things even further, there's another type of sleep anxiety that we refer to as somniphobia. That means the fear of sleeping. Somniphobia is an anxiety disorder that describes the fear of sleeping alone or the general fear of falling asleep. Unlike sleep anxiety that we just talked about, somniphobia is not about fearing not being able to fall asleep. It's about fearing what happens when you are asleep. People with somniphobia describe this intense fear that something bad will happen to them while they're sleeping. We see that somniphobia is often associated with other negative sleeping experiences. This can be things like sleep paralysis or frequent nightmares and night terrors. Some of the things we typically see with people suffering from somniphobia are avoiding to go to bed for as long as possible, feeling irritable or having mood swings, leaving the lights or the TV on when trying to go to sleep, and struggling to concentrate throughout the day because sleep-related worry is so intense. We also see that somniphobia can trigger some of the physical symptoms that we typically see in anxiety or panic attacks. These are symptoms like breathing changes or shortness of breath, chest pain or tightness, chills or cold sweats, hyperventilation, increased heart rate or heart palpitations, nausea or vomiting, and uncontrollable shaking or tremors. So boiled down, we can say that sleep anxiety in general is the fear and worry about not being able to go to sleep, whereas somniphobia is the fear of actually being asleep. There are different treatment options available for insomnia, sleep anxiety, and somniphobia, but for all three, cognitive behavioral therapy has been proven to be effective. There's actually a variant of cognitive behavioral therapy that's designed specifically for helping sleep difficulties. This is called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBTI for short. In CBTI, the focus is on adjusting thoughts to promote sleep, on practicing relaxation strategies, and using other strategies to improve sleep. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a more in-depth video about CBTI. Let's look at some things you can start to do at home and some general tips for improving your sleep quality. Some of the things you can try out at home include deep breathing. We know that improper breathing, such as taking shallow and rapid breaths, can worsen anxiety. Deep breathing techniques can help induce a relaxation response that will relieve anxiety, improve relaxation, and make it easier to get a good night's rest. Another thing you can try out is progressive muscle relaxation. This technique involves tensing and then relaxing your muscles one muscle group at a time, typically starting from your head and working your way down all the way to your toes. By practicing this technique, you can learn to bring your body into a relaxed state by letting go of the tension that you may be carrying around. You see, when you tense a muscle and you release the tension again, you'll also release any tension that you already had in your muscles. We typically see that when we're stressed or we're having anxiety, we tend to carry a lot of tension around, especially in the shoulder and neck area. So by practicing this technique, you're letting go of that tension that you might have been carrying around for days, weeks, or months. It can also give you greater control over your body's response to anxiety, and research shows that it can help improve sleep quality. There's some other general advice for improving sleep quality out there that I'd like to share with you here. These include keeping your bedtime and your wake time consistent from day to day, including weekends. Staying active. We know that regular activity helps promote a good night's sleep. Checking any medications that you might be on to see if any of those may contribute to insomnia. Avoiding or limiting naps throughout the day. Avoiding or limiting caffeine and alcohol, and don't use nicotine. Avoiding large meals or beverages before bedtime. Making your bedroom comfortable for sleep, and making sure you only use it for sleep and sex. And finally, creating a relaxing bedtime ritual such as taking a warm bath, reading, or listening to soft music. Now, if you feel like you've already tried all the typical pieces of advice for beating insomnia, you might want to check out this video where I talk about how metacognitive therapy can help us beat insomnia and improve our sleep quality. I'll make sure to also link the video in the end card for you. Now, if you struggle with any of these and you recognize the symptoms that we've gone through for either insomnia, sleep anxiety, or somniphobia, I strongly encourage you to reach out for support. This can either be to your friends and family for social support, or it can be to your doctor or a mental health professional for help with treating it. You do not need to struggle through this alone. Sleep difficulties is not something that we just need to accept and live with. There is help to get, and you are not alone. I upload new psychological insights, tips, and tools every week on this channel, and they're all aimed at spreading mental health awareness and helping you on your way to improving your mental well-being. If you're not already, I'd love for you to subscribe so we can meet again. Thank you for watching this one. Take care, and bye for now.